Before we begin, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell to be alerted to all my new videos on building a sustainable and fulfilling career, as well as sign up for my free newsletter where I include higher detail articles, link in the description. In life, it's impossible not to make mistakes. The same can easily be said about your freelance career. Even with all the sage advice from mentors and colleagues, you're bound to make mistakes, but it's better to learn from other people's mistakes before learning from experience. So here's 8 freelancing mistakes to avoid. Being afraid to lose the gig. When opportunity comes along, your instinct is to do whatever it takes to land that gig. This mindset is a desperate one, and being desperate will more likely lose you the gig than land it. Even if you do land the gig, you'll likely be making a ton of needless compromises. These could include undercharging, relinquishing rights to your music, agreeing blindly to the contract whatever it may include, or allowing clients to steamroll you with revision after revision. Firstly, being afraid means you'll tend to throw out a number that you're sure that they'll say yes to. In actuality, you should highball them and have them negotiate you down. As freelancers, we don't have financial security, so it's expected we charge more. We also have to pay a ton in taxes since it's not already taken out of our paychecks, at least if you're American. We can also lose things in bank transfer fees and conversion costs, so that's something to be aware of as well. If you are still afraid of losing the gig though, sometimes saying, "Let me know if that works for you," is enough to show that you're willing to negotiate. Being afraid to lose the gig might also make you take on long projects that don't pay you enough. And you might be thinking, well, anything's better than nothing. But everything has an opportunity cost. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Saying yes to bad gigs prevents you from saying yes to good gigs, and saying yes to good gigs prevents you from saying yes to great gigs. Another freelancing mistake to avoid is not fishing for red flags. It's important to call clients to vet them as much as they want to vet you. Clients might seem good and dandy from the get-go, but sometimes over a call with just a few questions, you'll notice a bunch of red flags. Asking them what their timeline is, or how many members of the team they have, how much experience they have, and whether or not they've shipped a game together, will often show you a lot of potentially really great clients or possibly really bad ones. Calling is a really great way to know more about the project and to connect with your clients as people. So even if you don't find any red flags, it's important to do it anyways. Next freelancing mistake to avoid is not having a healthy back and forth with your clients. Feedback is a very important part of our job. It's impossible to deliver 100% of your work to fit the client's needs on the first try. Firstly, put your ego aside, because not everything is a personal attack. It can take several attempts to get things right, and there are times that the client didn't like my track at first, but over time came around, and other times I would revisit a track with a clear head and realize that it wasn't on par with everything else that I've written before it. Sometimes clients can be a pain in the butt and really give inane feedback and ask for revision after revision. I always try and communicate my work as I do it to make sure that at least my rough sketch matches what they're looking for, so I don't waste too much time making a full track that isn't what the client wanted. And if the clients are going to give a lot of really unhelpful feedback and ask for revision after revision, I gently put my foot down to remind them that I am the expert, and my time would better be spent doing the next task. If they really care about it, we can always circle back in the future, but usually they would stop noticing or caring about whatever they would complain about. Freelancing a mistake to avoid, especially early on, is don't juggle too many revenue share projects. Rev share projects are not inherently bad, but they are a gamble. The unfortunate thing is that anyone working on a rev share will likely drop the project when paid work comes along. I've never worked on a rev share project that actually shipped. If you're looking for things to do, I always recommend game jams, because as long as you keep scope in check, the game will always launch. Doing several game jams gives you more experience than one very long revenue share project, and the stakes are much lower. Again, I'm not saying that rev share projects are bad. I know people who've had great success with them, but I would be very cautious of dedicating too much of your time to high-risk projects that have potentially very low reward or low odds of shipping. And while game jams might not make you a profit in the long run, revenue shares probably won't either. So it's better to do very short projects, and probably several of them, than a long rev share project that never finishes or never ends. The next one is having poor time structure. Setting your own hours can be a double-edged sword. I love having the freedom and flexibility to do what I want when I need to do it. But being our own bosses, it means that we must hold ourselves accountable. It's important to structure our regular workdays and balance our own tasks. When you don't have a lot of work to do, it can be easy to fall off the horse. And inversely, when you have a lot of work to do, it's very easy to overwork yourself. Studies showed that productivity went up when work from home became commonplace during the pandemic, but because people were also overworking due to a lack of separation from their work life and their home life. Scheduling work, but also scheduling regular breaks throughout your day is really important. Have time set aside for your meals, have time set aside for your exercise, and have time set aside where you are just away from your computer and away from your work. A huge mistake to avoid is not having backups. Do not delete your old work. Have a cloud drive, have an external drive, a server, have multiple backups, and have some that are separate from your computer. If something terrible happened, like a flood or an earthquake or some other natural disaster, and your computer is destroyed, having an external drive with your computer would also fall susceptible to the same disasters. So having separate backups on a cloud storage or a server remotely is imperative. This is part of your job, and it's part of your responsibility to your clients that if anything terrible happens, you are prepared and you don't lose their work. My final mistake to avoid is not having good bookkeeping. It is our responsibility to make sure that we get paid. It is not our clients, it's our responsibility. We have to balance our own budgets and manage our own accounting or pay someone else to do that on our behalf. Even if we do hire an accountant, it's still important to be aware of how our money is handled. I use Wave to help with my system. This is not sponsored, but I like that their system includes an invoice template as well as the fact that it will give you follow-ups if they're not paid. If you connect your bank account, they take a cut. I don't have that set up, but then I have to make sure that I manually mark my invoices as paid. Not having good bookkeeping can leave a lot of money on the table. It's your responsibility to make sure that you get paid. Freelancing has a lot of strengths, but it can be really easy to make mistakes that affect your entire business. It's impossible to go through life making no mistakes. I've yet to meet a single person who has successfully gone through without one. But the more things you're aware of ahead of time, the less pitfalls you'll accidentally fall into. So hopefully you learned something today. If you got at least one tip out of this, please leave a comment, let me know. I hope this helped you out, and good luck out there, because I know how hard it is, and a mistake can set you back a long way, but don't worry, just get back on the horse. You've got this. I believe in you. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe for more videos on building your career, as well as sign up for my newsletter where I talk about things in higher detail. Also, I read every comment and email, so if you have any questions or have any suggestions on topics you want me to cover, feel free to comment below. Thanks again, till next time, and good luck out there.